There are 5 long poems written in Thai around 500 years ago that have survived down to the present day. One of these, Yuan Phai, is a war poem describing a battle. The other 4 are about love, loss, and landscape, but they are different in detail. Nirat Hariphunchai is an account of a pilgrimage, but also a love letter to a beloved. In Ocean Lament, the author has to flee by boat from the old capital city of Ayutthaya for unknown reasons, and laments being forcibly separated from his beloved. In 12 months, the author laments his loss of a beloved over the course of a whole year. The 5th poem, Lilit Phra Lo, is like a drama, a play about love which ends in tragedy. We have translated all 5 of these into English, and we have enjoyed it so much that we would like to share them with you.
There are several mysteries about these poems. First, who wrote them and when? We are used to literary works having a title page with a title, an author, and a date. With these 5 works, we do not know the name of any of the authors. We know the definite date of only one of them, and we are not sure what the original titles were, or if they even had titles. Because of heat, damp, and insects, the paper on which they were written deteriorated within 50 years or so. All of these works have been copied several times. There are no original manuscripts like Shakespeare's folio editions. And there may not have been only one author and one date. In the royal courts of Siam, reciting poetry was a major form of entertainment. Royals and nobles competed to show off their skill in composition. Kings employed poets to entertain the court and to help improve the king's own compositions. Outside the court, there were also traditions of group composition, especially counterpoint singing, with a man and woman, or a group of men and a group of women, each singing a verse in turn, making them up as they go along, especially for courting. So there was no idea of a single author, and no idea that a literary work was sacrosanct, that it was copyrighted in today's language. Rather, once composed, it was effectively in the public domain, and later poets might try to improve it. So among our 5 works, one, Yuan Phai, has 5 sections which are different in content and style, and possibly authored by different people at different times. And another, Lilit Phra Lo, has a long passage on the end, which may be the work not only of a different author, but also of a different historical era.
Another mystery is why they were composed and who for. Today, literature is written as personal expression and largely read for personal entertainment and education. It is a way of sharing experience across a society and down through time. In old Siam, there was no printing and no culture of reading. Literary works were shared orally in various ways. A work might be composed for entertainment at court and might not express the emotion of the author, but be purely an exercise to show off skill in composition to entertain. Alternatively, work might be intensely personal, intended for an audience of one. We think that Nirat Hariphunchai may have been written as a love letter, a personal communication from the author to the beloved as an elaborate expression of his love, and may not have been intended for any other audience.
Another mystery is how these 5 works, and only these 5 works, survived until the present day. They are quite sophisticated and quite varied in form and content. It's impossible to imagine that only these 5 works were created. There are records of other titles and some extracts of works that have disappeared. To survive, works had to be stored well and regularly recopied. Siam developed no printing technology and no university, so the only institutions equipped to conserve these works with the royal palace and the Buddhist temple. So it's not surprising then that all 5 are either by or about kings, and 2 also have a strong theme of Buddhism. Today, because of time, we will just briefly introduce the 4 poems which are about love, loss, and landscape.
Nirat Hariphunchai. Nirat Hariphunchai is a poem of 720 lines. Nirat means a poem about a journey, and Hariphunchai is the town now called Lamphun in the north of Thailand. This poem is the only one which has a date in the text. It was probably written in 1517. The author was a royal, possibly the king of Chiang Mai in that time, called King Meng Kao. It is a poem about 2 kinds of devotion: devotion to his beloved and devotion to the religion of Buddhism. The author makes pilgrimage from Chiang Mai to Wat Pratat Hariphunchai, one of the oldest and most holy temples in the Northern Kingdom. Along the 3-day, 30 kilometers journey, he worships at another 30 shrines and temples, so he makes a lot of merit. At the same time, he takes the opportunity to write a poem about his love and devotion to his beloved called Siti. These 2 forms of devotion are inseparable. Near the beginning, he writes 2 verses in which he uses one same phrase, Duang Dio, meaning soul star, to mean both his lady love and Buddhism. First, her.
Soul star, surpassing heaven's apsara, the crown of sensuous pleasure's realm, a queen, does sin and merit made from times now past ordain 100,000 lives till I do cease to pine.
Then the religion, talking about the 4 Buddhas of the past and Prasi Arya, the Buddha yet to come.
Soul star until religion ends this Bhadra age. As 4 all-knowing ones have passed and gone, 'tis not yet time, see Arya, upholds religion great. For then I wish to tryst with you, precious celestial maid.
He starts on the 3rd of March 1517 at Wat Prasing in the center of Chiang Mai and travels east and then south through the city. He stops and worships at many Wats and temples, for example, Wat Jedi Luang, the city's largest and most magnificent.
Great monastery, a fine and sacred place, the conqueror's image famed as world supreme. Amarakata, worth as much as city one, my love. I raise clasped hands, bow head, for your own joy.
Amarakata here is Pragel Maragot, the Emerald Buddha, now in the Grand Palace in Bangkok, but then in the niche here. At the exit to the walled city of Chiang Mai, he praises the walls, moat, and the crocodiles that protect the city.
Arrived at Chiang Mai Gate, new built in gold, 2 circling ramparts guard the city well. The crocodiles that splash and thrash look fine. The splendid towers and stockades fill all foes with fear.
Today there are no crocodiles, only lotus. Here he is joined by 100 bullock carts, all gaily decorated, maybe a bit like the oxen at the ploughing ceremony.
The bulls in pairs have dangling bells that loudly clang. New woven silk is tied right round the yokes. Gold swans protrude from beams, tied fast to harness ropes. Cart bodies shielded, wound with broidered silk. Twin yokes are trimmed with pretty shapes of swans. In front, high curving shafts are swathed with peacock tails.
He continues south through an area with orchards and beautiful trees, then blooming.
Asoka trees are budding, blooming beautifully. A roof of red that fills the Wat and shades the earth. A joy to see the forest trees cluster close.
He probably stayed overnight near Wat Jedi Luang, just outside the city, then continues south, taking 2 more days. He spends 2 nights at the great temple in Hariphunchai. He notes that the temple is very popular, thronged with people all through the day, especially by courting couples in the evening.
The circling courtyard cleared for devotees, young men and women, boys and girls in crowds, midnight, midday, all round, morning, even night. Not empty any time, not even close to dawn. At night, young men and women meet for fun. They appear around them, making eyes all sides.
On the second night, a full moon, there is a festival. Here are musicians and dancers.
Then let me tell of dancers stepping nobly to and fro, with flashing peacock tails that bob and wave, and gold and silver baubles hanging from their ears.
An acrobat on a tightrope.
Upon a leather strap, the dancers seem so casual. At times they step like toddlers, miss their footing.
And on ladders of swords.
A soldier climbs up swords to reach the top. He stands stock still and jiggles up and down. Perhaps he's studied martial arts to high degree.
A royal lady comes to join the festival. He notes how beautiful she is, how richly she is adorned, and how many attendants she has.
The Lord of Lords' gem lady comes as well. A flock of women circle her to serve. She's like the moon, whose beauty stars enhance. The palace maids mill round and fill the courtyard full. The mother queen has skin as fine as 9 gold flowers, a half-moon hairpin fashioned handsomely, a cloth wrapped round her bosom fitly fine. Her smile bests heaven's maids, her walk is like a vine.
All through the trip, he donates the merit made to his beloved city. Although he is only away for a few days and no farther than 30 kilometers distance, he makes it seem as if they were worlds apart and forever. It's poetic device to express the depths of his love. He ends like this.
The time I made the trip to Hariphunchai town, began lamenting two apart, alone and sorrowful, a melancholy work composed on Tip's command. I offer her to read at leisure, dispelling any doubt.
2 years ago, on the 505th anniversary of the poem, we retraced the journey on foot. We were joined by Trasavin, our publisher. Like the author, we started at Wat Prasim and called at all the wats and shrines. All the big temples are in splendid condition 500 years later. Some smaller ones have disappeared. Some are now suffering from modernity and neglect, like this one, hemmed in by the building and roads, but some have been beautifully restored. We watched the full moon rise from inside the great Wat. In the poem, the Wat is busy with people all the time.
Young men and women, boys and girls in crowds, midnight, midday, all round, morning, even night, not empty any time, not even close to dawn.
But now it was almost deserted, except for us. Just outside the temple, however, there is a walking street, a market on a road close to traffic on every Friday evening, and this was packed with young men and women, boys and girls in crowds, people buying clothes, food, and trinkets. Kamsuan Samut, or Ocean Lament, used to be known as the Lament of Sipra. It is a poem of 520 lines. The author is a young royal, and we do not know his name or the exact date, though the language suggests around 1500. Again, it is a poem about a journey, but a very different one. It starts with the author standing in the center of the old capital of Ayutthaya. He starts to praise the city, its temples and palaces, which was the conventional way to begin a poem. But suddenly he changes. He praises the city as a good place for boys and girls to meet up, flirt.
At dusk, a girl and boy arrange to meet. She says, "Don't come to me by day." At dusk, tears flow as the couple trysts. Back in their rooms, the girl and boy. yearn for night again. At dusk, lover, stay a while, don't go. He teases, grabs her arm, she parries, trembling hot. At dusk they vouch their love in tender words. Both know the ways to use the tongue to stir the heart.
Then it changes again. He is boarding a boat. He has to flee from the city. We don't know why. He is desperate at being separated from a lover and immediately begins a message to her.
I'm desolate to be parted from you and board the boat. The rowdy servant girls attending fill the bank. I'm desolate. I look all around and send my heart. This letter I send to the servant, send to you, send myself.
He travels down the river towards the sea. All the places marked on this map are mentioned in the poem. Every few lines he says, farther away, farther away, farther away, farther from her. Three things make the poem very distinctive. First, he is fascinated by the landscape. Perhaps he had never been down the river before. He describes the flat delta terrain as a great plain unscrolling. He watches the masses of animals on the bank.
The deer dashing around are too many to count. Loosed buffalo crash, crunch with wild oxen, exciting. Scores of sand deer forage in their space in the wild. Some prowl, some play, some rear up on hind legs. I watch rhinos dance and prance along the riverbank. All round the river bend, bunches of waving flowers, thick with forest, rhinos bellowing.
This scene is at the north edge of Bangkok today. When he reaches the Gulf of Siam, he is fascinated by the sight of the sea, the sensation of the boat moving, and the sound of the waves.
How deep the sea is beyond reckoning. Waves rolling away like the waters cleaving apart. Farther away, 100,000 yochana out of sight. Farther away, leaping, loping, sky skittering, scrunch. The sea sighs and groans. Can anyone survive? Farther away, wind swirling, foam slapping, we fly, flailing. The sound of an ocean weeping is sound beyond sound.
He describes fish, dolphins, and whales.
Whales bigger than elephants speed across the water. Small whales slip along, flipping back and forth. A sole whale leaps like a fish, stirs up mud, waves its tail to waft krill into its mouth to munch.
This latter image is clearly a bride's whale in the Gulf today. You can take a whale watching tour to see them feeding like this. A second highlight of the poem is the way that he described her and his memory them together.
Your pretty navel bud, heavenly lady of mine, when you suck your belly flat, I shiver. Anyone seeing your midriff, their heart skips and fails like a tiny winged midge with no fear of death. I think back to the two of us trysting, my jewel, the taste of beetle mouth to mouth, the scent of your sandal rousing through to dawn, me unfazed by flesh on fire, you fanning hard.
She may have been a dancer and very attractive one.
I think of your slight figure dancing, my love. If the earth is no broader than this, can it hold you? Everywhere the eyes of the world are fixed on you, my love. The earth is strapped down by the sky and so survives.
The third distinctive aspect of the poem is the way he describes his distress as totally physical.
Especially felt in his guts. He says his guts are gone, guts a mess, gut heaves, drains my guts, guts roiled by lust without relief, wrenching out my guts, innards sag, kidney and liver go head over heels. Then his breath, awash, burning, empty, pierced by thorns, bursting with fire, thumping like thunder, cringing, bruised, drooping down, shaky as this mast. Then his heart, burnt, boiled, fevered, slips, skips, shivers, splinters, howls, blackens and breaks, darkens to die, goes off to roam the sky, and then his eyes, his teeth, and so on and so on.
A storm blows over. The boat is damaged, and he fears he may die. He makes a prayer, and then the storm soon dies down. He is past Pattaya, going south, out of the Gulf. Where to, we don't know. Then the poem suddenly ends. There is a famous last verse where he addresses the lover and tells her to read his message every night. We think this is too neat and has been added on the end. The previous verse sums up the poem and rings more true as an ending.
Farther away, out of sight, far flung, when I think back, my heart splinters and I pine. One part of me seems now dead, now dust. The other part seems to see my lover with my own eyes.
Many people think the last part of the poem has been lost, and that in the full version he reached some destination, but we think this is the real ending, leaving the reader with an image of a small boat in the ocean, far from land, under a big empty sky, as an expression of how he feels about his loss. 12 months. Tawatosamat, meaning 12 months, was almost certainly written by a son of King Trairokanath of Ayutthaya, who ruled in the 15th century. It is a little over 1,000 lines and most likely written in the 1480s. The young royal has lost a lover. He does not tell us how or why, but probably she has died suddenly. The poem is very similar to an elegy. He mourns her through the 12 months of a year, taking inspiration from the changing seasons and the ritual calendar of Ayutthaya royal court. But before he starts his cycle, he tells us about her, about his time with her, perhaps to explain why he misses her so much.
I miss your special soft sin's sensuous tongue that fired my heart and roused my rust. I miss your scent, your dulcet voice divine, flesh pressed on tender flesh to seem as one. I miss the times of roving like a Naga lord, my arms embracing, circling, coiling round, the beauty of all beauties, passion's taste, deep loving, sliding, winding, folding tight. I miss caressing golden lotus, holy lake, dipping down past lily bud, parting petals wide. I miss my cherishing the perfect flower's crown and prying part the flower whirl below Meru's mount. To bathe in Tava Timsa, lake of gods, is good, yet equals not your crystal lake at watchbeat time. In heaven's lake, the nectar tastes sublime, but bathing in your lake eclipses all three worlds.
The 12 months begin in March, in the hot season, and the heat offers simile for his distress.
1,000 suns, bright shining rays that scorch three worlds and torch all things, destroy the triple spheres in flaring flames, yet equal not the heat of parting you, princess.
The hot season ends and the rain begins. As in Ocean Lament, the poem keeps thinking back to their time together.
The month Visakha roars, the heavens pour. I miss the flowers, garlands, places of yours. This season's love, your belly, utmost joy. My belly hot and hurt against your navel's bud.
He repeatedly compares her to the moon.
The white orb circles through the sky. Is that your face? Your beauty's pure, surpassing artistry, as limpid light as lotuses, sublime beyond the moon. Although you left alike the setting moon, you crossed sky's rim and failed to rise again.
He has to preside at the ceremonies in the royal calendar. These are formal religious events, but he tells us that he simply cannot get her out of his head at a ritual boat race. The thrashing of the oarsmen reminds him of their very first love-making.
The paddlers part the waters, fly downstream. They cant their oars, then plunge and pull with power. I ache afar from you with flooding eyes. Think back, recall the time of our first tryst.
As the year draws to a close, he becomes reconciled to the loss, makes merit to send to her, and concludes.
This 12 is 12 of wretchedness, but love and happiness are found throughout the world.
For much of the past century, the poem was hidden away, but new edition was published in 2017 by a team associated with the Princess Sirinthorn Anthropology Center. Ajahn Sasithorn noted that passion, joy and sex in the poem is nothing strange. In her words, custom of Thai society is bound up with a moralistic frame of thought. In fact, the work reflects the mindset of Ayutthaya society so that present-day society may understand the display of passionate love. End of quote. The author, possibly a king or future king, presents himself as a naked human in both physical and metaphorical terms. In the 1480s, such a work was possible. Perhaps he wrote it for the same reason that Alfred Lord Tennyson wrote the famous elegy In Memoriam, namely, I do but sing because I must. Composing the poem was a way to manage his own grief. Lilit Phra Lo. Our last poem is very different. It is much longer, almost 4,000 lines. The other three are I poems, relating the experience and expression of a single author. This one is more like a drama with a large cast of characters and a complex plot. Lilit Phra Lo, or the story of King Lo, probably originated around 1500. Phra Lo is a young king in a city-state. Phuan and Pang are princesses in a neighboring state. They are all very beautiful. They fall in love with each other through the description of their beauty sung by traveling troubadour. The princesses use love magic to lure Phra Lo to their home. This takes a long time because of the objection of the king's powerful mother, a long journey through the forests and mountains, bribery to get through the frontier post, and the subterfuge to arrange a secret rendezvous. That takes 3,000 lines and builds such suspense. When they finally meet, the love scene is spectacular. First, his two manservants and the princess's two maids meet in a lotus pond, pair off, and made love 3 times, in the pond, on the bank, and in the pavilion. Then,
love-making done, the plots of passion played, the maids lean forward and ask their lovers' names. Where are you from? How are you called? Pray tell, so we may know your names and city home.
These 4 then sit outside the pavilion, struggling to keep their hands off one another, though love burns them to ash. The main tryst is of course a threesome, and the telling is very physical.
Entwining arms with arms in tight embrace, flesh pressed to flesh, oh flesh, so soft and pleasing flesh. Breast pressed to tender breast, belly pressed to belly, oh soft belly, lovely breast. A lotus blooms, unfolding like a smile, a flower within a flower hid within a sacred lake. 1,000 pleasures in her lake. A fish frisks freshly, feels a lotus flower that blooms. Like a horse of senses 5, his power by passion multiplied, he pounds apace with no respite. He's like a tusker, mad in must, with thrusting tusks and clutching trunk, clung close in clinch caress.
After a short pause, there is a second round, and here their love-making disturbs the universe.
Loud thunder blasts the heavens, shakes the skies. Earth quakes, is almost wrecked, and bellies churn. At sea, the roaring waves are whipped to foam. What wonders here! Trees yaw and sway always. A lion king is nuzzling snug his lioness. A tusker jogs his mate to jig and play. A golden deer strides spryly forth to sport, while rabbits, squirrels, gambol, couple, chase.
But all is not over. The three bathe together in a large jar, which incites a playfulness. They eat together, they part with great reluctance and confessions of undying love. The whole tryst is about 700 lines, half a Shakespeare play, perhaps one of the longest of such seen in world literature. There is then a tragic ending, with strong parallel to Romeo and Juliet. The two cities had been at war in the recent past. A grandfather of the princesses had been killed. In revenge, his wife, their grandmother, has the three main characters and their 4 servants all dramatically killed by a band of assassins.
The foes shoot more with poisoned barbs. The 3 are hit, are riddled, shot. Their blood flows down in floods. They lean together now, all 3, their faces turned towards the foe, appearing like a work of art, and pass away as one.
Again, like Romeo and Juliet, this tragedy sparks a process of reconciliation, but whereas Shakespeare does it in half a page, this poem takes another 300 lines. There is an outpouring of grief in both cities. The nobles warn the rulers against thoughts of revenge.
Your Majesty, pray give some weighty thought to build a future on this past.
The bodies are cremated, divided between the 2 cities, installed in memorial stupas, and celebrated in simultaneous festivals.
She has them build an ornament, the relic stupas, beautiful, a great one for the royal 3, to left and right for aids and maids, as if to tell the world and heavens high above. Both monarchs stage festivities, both cities looking glorious for great and fun-filled festivals and gifts of alms throughout the land. The people, each and every one, are moved to make some merit, send it on.
The poem has been celebrated in many forms, including the lovely dance which we showed in the video by the Patravadi dance troupe, also in paintings, especially by the artist Chakrapan Posiakrit, in book illustrations by Hemvechgorn, and statues. In conclusion, we will say just a couple of things about these poems as a group. First, we are very struck by the openness and the inventiveness of the description of love, of having a lover, and of losing a lover. The last 2, Lilit Phra Lo and 12 Months, have beautiful descriptions of the experience of love. Nirat Hariphunchai conveys love in the long term by intertwining devotion to a lover with devotion to the religion. Ocean Lament conveys the distress of losing a lover by describing it as very physical sensations, his body going haywire. He also conveys the mental emptiness of loss through the special landscape of the sea, with the flat surface, the huge dome of the sky, and the restless movement of the waves.
Second, we are struck by the inventiveness of their treatment of landscape. In Ocean Lament, the author is like a goggle-eyed tourist, seeing things for the first time and pouring out his wonderment, especially when he reaches the sea. In the Journey Through Time in 12 Months, there is an interplay between the emotions of the author and the changing seasons. And in Lilit Phra Lo, the king is transformed by the landscape, During his long journey through the forest, he gradually loses his kingliness and becomes simpler, less grand, more human. The landscape is not just a backdrop to the human action, but an active character in these poems in very different ways.
Lastly, there is a gender aspect. All of these poems were written by men and from a very male perspective. But we know that women had a very prominent role in Thai society from a long time ago. In oral literature, which was more extensive than written literature, they contributed equally with the men to counterpoint singing and to lullabies. And in the last of our poems, Lilit Phra Lo, it is the two princesses who are the drivers of the plot. Perhaps there once were poems written by women at this early time, but they are among the many that are lost.